First of all, tribals, as we call them today, itself is a very faulty category. What do we mean by the word tribals? It's a word that we have adopted from the British. We are all tribals. We all belong to various tribes at some point or the other. Just because we are living in the city doesn't make us any less tribal. I belong to a particular community, you belong to a particular community. They have their own sets of practices and rituals. It's just that we started wearing jeans and modern clothing, so we think we are not tribals, but others are, because they are more secluded, right? So that one, I do have a problem even with that word, tribals, because we categorize them into a different kind of class altogether. Having said that, yes, the people who we typically call tribals are people who have managed to maintain their practices through the ages, who have not diluted their systems and haven't become mongrels, half here, half there. You know, they are authentic with whatever they do. They have retained their healing practices. They have retained their rituals, their family rituals, their wedding rituals, their healing rituals, their musical rituals, etc. Now, many of these tribes have still very, very highly effective practices of curing the human body, of getting rid of pain, of digestion, of beauty, beauty practices, nutrition, the right kind of nutrition for the right kind of body. So whether it is in lesser known tribal communities, whether it is our classical oral heritage traditions, both come from the Himalayas. It's not just tribal traditional knowledge that comes from Himalayas. You have Kashmir Shaivism that comes from the Himalayas, which has a very, very elaborate science of the human body. They have so many different sounds which are connected to different parts of the human body, which can actually cure different parts of the human body just by repetition of one sound. It's such an intricate science which has been clubbed into religion. The biggest problem that we have with our education system today, which has been the death of traditional knowledge, is that we categorize things, we divide knowledge into religion versus philosophy versus science versus culture, and they are not separate. In our traditions, science and art and culture and philosophy and religion were all intertwined. There was no separation between culture and religion and philosophy and science and art and sculpture and architecture, etc. It was all one. It is all one, not was. It is all one. And we are doing a great disservice to traditional knowledge by actually dividing knowledge and not having interdisciplinary learning in school and college. So the importance of traditional knowledge today is that even though we don't have it in English and Hindi, the fact that we don't respect knowledge unless it's written in English is the biggest attack that exists today for traditional knowledge, because people don't accept something until it is accepted either by an institution or by the West. Only when something is accepted by the West or by a government institution, we consider it valid, and that is very, very, very unfortunate. Because I know I haven't had medicines for the last 24 years, and that is only because, one, I have shunned Western medicine forever in my life for the last 24 years. I cure myself with water every morning. Every morning I have water, and that is my medicine. And the other medicine I have is sound. So I chant a little bit every day, and that takes care of my health. If I have a problem, I can chant one sound again and again, and that cures that part of my body. And that's all there in our traditional knowledge. It's just that we are so skeptical, we are so insecure as Indian people that we don't respect our knowledge unless it is certified by the West, or somebody in some institution gives it a certification on paper. Why do we need proof of something that has been proved and has been effective for hundreds of years? Why do we need outside authentication of that? That is the biggest problem we have with accepting traditional knowledge. For instance, I'm not just about Himalayas, but let me bring this thing because this is true for all. For instance, Indian mathematics, ways of solving problems of addition and multiplication, which is popularly known as Vedic mathematics. It's not really from the exactly from the Atharva Veda or Rig Veda, but it's popularly called that. Now, there are such effective ways of solving problems. The schooling system has shunned it, or has now started adding it as an apology in your main mathematics curriculum. Most people still don't accept it. Now, Tata Sky is promoting Vedic mathematics, but our education system, our government has not accepted it as a mainstream way of mathematics because we are still catering to the West and what that accepts as good mathematics. Why are we not doing advocacy? Why are we not scientifically showing them that this is superior? This is more superior than any mathematical format in the world, at least at the primary levels, where people are trying to solve simple ways of computing, etc. So many examples like that, especially medicine. The Himalayan regions have so many effective ways of healing, of aushadhi, of jari booty, of herbs, herbal medicine. You don't even have to make medicine out of it. I mean, today all over the net you're talking about turmeric as the magic drug for cure of cancer, and I have seen so many recipes that people in the West are prescribing to people. Mix turmeric in water and have it, and it'll cure your cancer. Now, if you study Ayurveda, you would know that you should never have turmeric with water, because turmeric is very heating for the body. You have to mix a very heating substance with a cooling substance like yogurt or milk. Now, milk, even if it is heated, tasir kehte hain usse, the essence of milk is cooling. So when you mix turmeric with milk, then it balances the heating and the cooling effect, and then it does not harm the body. Otherwise, if you have turmeric with water, it will harm your liver. It might cure your cancer, but it will destroy your liver. So the holistic understanding of the human body, how you absorb things, was natural to our ancestors, to our housewives, which unfortunately has not been learnt through the generations. Certain things have just been practiced as ritual, but the science of it is lost. But more important than that, the main reason for the decline of traditional knowledge systems is the lack of self-respect and the lack of confidence that people in our villages have about themselves. They have lost their self-confidence. They have lost confidence in the sciences and the ways of being, the ways of life, their lifestyles, their ways of eating. They have lost confidence because the city people have told them that our systems are superior to yours. And by the onslaught of smarter sounding language, we have convinced them that whatever is written in English is superior to whatever you cannot communicate in English. That is the single largest reason for the downfall of traditional knowledge in India.